Even though Instagram stories and reels have always been the rage, there's one form of content that will really stamp you as an authority. So that's why today we are talking about how you can build your brand using long form video content. Let's get right into it. If you're new here, my name is Liz and I help coaches and consultants add video to their business. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss any of my future content. Now, to be clear, I do love short form content, meaning video and content in general that's just quick in nature, maybe 20 seconds, 60 seconds. I do love creating and watching that stuff because it's very, very low commitment to consume for one thing, and it's easy to create and it's easy to get your message out there. However, having said that, I have always understood since the minute that I started creating content that long form content is usually the stuff that will convert my audience into paying customers. There's a couple of different reasons for that. We're going to talk through this video as to how you can create long form content and also why it makes such a difference. I see too many people nowadays focusing on just the short form stuff because they think it's easy to just put out there. And then they wonder later why they're not actually seeing conversions within their audience. This could be one of the reasons why. If you start focusing more on long form content in addition to short form, you will quickly see that your audience understands that you are an authority on your topic, that you know what you are talking about, and that you can help them get to their next goal. So let's jump right into our video for today. Now, the first thing to do when creating good long form video content is to conduct thorough research. Your long form content should be full of insights and information and tips and things that bring awareness to your audience that they hadn't thought of before. It is really hard to come up with all of those type of valuable and tactical points if you are just talking off the top of your head. Remember, the point of long form content is not just to sit and talk to the audience. There's a lot of different ways you can do that otherwise. Long form content should really teach your audience something, bring them new ideas, share a perspective that they didn't know before. So in order for you to really accurately and aptly present that to your audience, you need to do proper research. We're not talking about just entering a few words into ChatGPT or just scrolling on Instagram and trying to get an idea about the topic. We are talking about spending significant time digging in, looking into the different angles. Consider to yourself how those angles actually present themselves to your audience. Are they relevant to your audience? What are the other sides of those angles? Do that proper deep diving so that you can present your audience with a new perspective on things. That way, when they watch your long form content, they will know that you've taken time to research, that you've brought and collated the best information to give them. They will thank you for having done that research so that they don't have to go searching all over the internet to do the research themselves. And they'll be able to understand from the way that you present your points that you've covered all of your bases. You've looked at all of the different sides, and it will really make them feel like you are an authority on that topic. The next thing to think about in order to release good long-form video content is to think about the production quality of your videos. Now, with short-form content like reels and stories, for example, your audience doesn't worry as much of the production quality. They are usually perfectly happy with you just picking up your phone, selfie style, shooting something short to the camera, and then just posting it like that. They don't expect a lot of edits. They're not expecting a ton of gear or equipment to liven that up in any way. However, with long form content, consider that your audience has to sit and watch this stuff for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. That's what long form content is. So if you don't have a good microphone, or if there's a ton of echo in the room, or the room doesn't have the right lighting and you've got shadows on your face and they just can't see you as well, then all of that affects whether they want to keep watching past the 5 or 6 minute mark. After a while, it gets tiresome to watch a video that doesn't have strong production quality around it. Nowadays, products are available so affordably and they are easy to set up and use so that you can always sound good and look good and edit your videos just with the equipment you have or with really affordable tools. So don't feel like you need to go out and spend $1,000 and spend 1,000 hours learning how to use all of this stuff. Video has become so commonplace nowadays that video gear makers are interested in putting this stuff in front of you and making it affordable and accessible for you. Be sure to look in the description of this video below so that you can actually grab a very easy to use product that I have so you can get started with creating a little home studio for you. So once you decide that you are going to create this long form content, that is the right time to invest in some gear, learn how to use it well, learn how much time it takes to actually edit and shoot and set up your gear, and then go forward with a really strong production quality behind your videos. The next thing to keep in mind with long form video content is that it requires a little bit of structure. So again, it is different from short form stuff. I know that when I create Instagram stories, for example, I just pick up the phone and I talk to it for 15, 20, 30 seconds and then I'm done. I don't have to do too much more to it. But with long form stuff, the people that are watching that need a little bit of structure just so that they can stay on pace and stay focused with what you're saying. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can add some text in your videos just at certain points to highlight certain topics or to show that you are moving on to the next point like I often do. You can have some little transition movements in between your points. This all just keeps your audience engaged and feeling like they've completed watching one point in the video and now they are moving on to the next point. Now, depending on how much you like editing or whether you have a budget to hire an editor, you can add all sorts of extra stuff to the look and feel of your video. I'm sure you've watched videos on YouTube where there's a ton of text and little graphics and other elements and some music and all sorts of things happening. Make sure that you know your audience really well to understand what they would like to watch. Don't just bombard them with all sorts of stuff added to the video that they might not appreciate. Be sure that it is relevant to the topic that you are talking about and something that your audience would like. But these are all ways that you can add some structure to your video. It keeps people moving along, it keeps them from getting distracted and letting their mind wander. Because in fact, it's hard to just sit and watch a person talking for 10, 15, 20 minutes without any type of other extra movement on the screen. So consider how you can add these things just to keep your videos light and fresh, and then let's move on to our next point. The next thing that you want to keep in mind when you're creating good long-form video content is that it needs to be optimized to that platform. So you might be deciding to post your long-form content on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on Instagram or maybe on YouTube, and you can even do long-form content on TikTok nowadays. So depending on where it is you're putting it, think about all of the extra tools that those platforms allow you to use, and then use those tools to their maximum benefit. For example, on YouTube, there are a lot of things that you can do to actually optimize your video. You can have a strong title. You can add extra information in the description. You can add a card halfway through your video pointing to another video that you have on a similar or relevant topic. You can have an end card at the end of your video so that the audience is prompted to watch another video on another interesting topic. So there's a lot of different things that you can do like that. So spend the time to research the platform where you are posting it and be sure to make use of everything that's available for you there. The big no-no that I often still see people doing in this day and age is posting vertical style videos on platforms that actually want horizontal style videos. So for example, this video you're watching right now is probably on YouTube or on Facebook, and you're watching it in a horizontal format. Instead of that, imagine I took my phone and I shot this video just vertically and then posted it. You would be watching it as a vertical video in the center of your screen with black bars on both sides, which is not how videos on YouTube and Facebook typically are shown to people. Which means that if I did that, my audience would get so fed up of watching that after 1 minute and they would click away. So be sure that you are aware of the dimensions of the videos on the platform that you have chosen, what type of settings are the best settings for good resolution, and then post your videos accordingly so that they get maximum engagement and interest from your audience. Now, another thing that I love about long-form content is that you can always chop it up and repurpose it so that it becomes short-form content. You can't do it the other way around. If you have a short-form piece of content that's 15 seconds, there's not much more you can do with it other than maybe turning it into a different type of content. But if you have a 10-minute long-form video, you can find some of the best snippets and best points from that. Cut those out, trim those out using a video editor, and now you have a whole new short video that you can use. So it just allows you to get more visibility and get more bandwidth out of the one video that you've created. Then of course you can continue to repurpose that in different ways and turn it into text and carousels. But you get so much more leverage out of the one video that you create. So you do your best not to just waste your videos by posting them one time and then forgetting about them. Post them and then repost them and then re-watch them so that you can find some golden nuggets from that video. Cut out those golden nuggets and then post them in all sorts of different places a little bit later. Nobody will really remember or care that that snippet came from a larger video. It'll still be relevant content that people can consume and enjoy even at a later time. Now, the last thing that I want to remind you to do when you have long-form video content is always to be checking your analytics. Practically every platform now allows you to go into the back end and check out the analytics of the content that you are posting. So there's a lot of different things to keep in mind there when you're looking at those numbers. One is, which were the videos that really did well, that people liked to watch? Which were the videos that didn't do so well? And then go back and ask yourself why. Was it the topic? Was the look and feel a little bit different? Maybe you did something differently in that video, or you added more text or more music, or it was a different location and people really liked that, or maybe they really didn't like that. So ask yourself those questions and do a little bit of that digging to understand what it is that your audience really likes to watch. Not only that, but on YouTube, you have so many more analytics that you can look at. For example, the drop times. When you post your video, there might be a certain point where your audience actually starts to fall off. Maybe after the first 1 minute, or after the first 3 minutes, or after the first 10 seconds. So check all of that stuff and get a clear sense of when your audience is deciding that they've had enough of the video. There might be something that's always happening there that you can actually change and edit. If you don't look at these numbers, then remember that you're just kind of putting content out there and hoping for the best. And my friends, you know by now that hope is not really a marketing strategy. So look at the numbers, don't take things personally, instead be willing to learn from what you are seeing there in the analytics and then keep trying and testing new things. So if you like this video, I hope that you will give it a like, share it with one of your friends. Don't forget to subscribe because every single week I bring you a new video teaching you how you can add video to your business. So until next time, take care.